So today, we're going to tap in first what we were talking about before we got on here, because me and Michelle, we be having some good conversations, off Kingdom conversations, right, Michelle?
Right. We definitely do.
And so what we were talking about was we were talking about the word, and this is something that I always say about the Bible, where it's like, well, I've heard people say that it's a book of rules and a book of laws. And my thing is, I feel like people need to change their perspective, because when you think about the word of God, it's so much in it that helps us. It's like a manual. Not it's like it is a manual for our daily life. And everything that we need is in it. And I think so many people that they look at it as just, oh, there's so many rules, there's so many laws, but um it's a way of protecting us from what God knows is ahead of any actions that we may do, like the consequences ahead. And so it's like people look at, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, these things are protection. Not these things, but the commandments are protection. The way God instructs us to live is for our protection, and it's for us to better us as a person or as people. What you think about that, Michelle?
I completely agree. I mean, because sometimes if you didn't have the rules, how would you know what is right and what is wrong? Well, how would you know what not to do? Because a lot of times you may think what you're doing is right, and if you follow other people, a lot of times, you think that okay, what they're doing is the right thing. But there's always something that shows when it's something that differs. Like, okay, if you have a rule book, it's like, oh, okay, wait, you know what? They're not doing it right. Let me not follow them after all. Even
Mhm.
in nursing, I think about it as far as when in nursing, I remember when I first started and the way that people did nebulizer treatments. Of course, with us, they tell us, oh, put your gloves on, put masks on. You putting all this stuff on, and of course, it takes time to do all of these things. But then you see the workers, and none of them have those things on. They have gloves, but they don't have no mask on and stuff. And so you're like, oh, okay, they've been seasoned. They've been here for some like years, and they're not doing this. So it must be for good reason. And so you start following what they're doing because you're thinking, oh, okay, then I'm doing unnecessary steps.
Mhm.
And so, but it's in the rules that it protects you. And I didn't know that it protects you because, first of all, when you think of nebulizer, because a lot of people don't know what nebulizers, and I only learned this during COVID, right? With
Mhm.
nebulizer treatments, it exposes into the air. So there's like whatever is like being exchanged is going into other people too.
Mhm.
And so I didn't know that. So it was protection for me.
Mhm.
It was protection. But
Mhm.
because you follow other people, you know, now you put yourself at harm's way. And I'll go into that another time because that was a whole testimony even with that. Because there was something that the protection was protecting me from, and I didn't
Mhm.
know because I was following other people.
Yeah. And I think I said this before. Um, it's like you said, it's protection. And like you even think, like the laws that we have in nations or in the nation that we live in, if you don't have no laws and no rules, what do you see? It's chaos. So
And
it's
one thing that you were saying is about chaos is because I look at, a lot of time people say, especially in America, we have so many rules, there's not so many rules in other countries. But when you compare the rules in other countries, their penalties are harsher.
that's so true.
So you may have a lot of rules here, but it's like, okay, what are the rules saying? Because their rules, you couldn't get away with doing a lot of things in those countries. They may have only a few rules, but their rules, when you go and you surpass those things, the penalty is harsh. You're staying in there, you're being in confinement for longer periods of time. There's times when you're beaten, there's times when you're being starved. It comes, there's protection and rules,
Yeah.
protections and obedience.
That's what it is. There's protection and obedience. There's protection when you follow the word. That's so good. That's so good what you just said. And there's protection when you follow the laws. I was just about to say, when you think about too, if you think about driving, right? If there's no speed limit, people gonna be speeding all the time. But you're gonna see a lot of accidents, a lot of deaths.
And
you
we
know,
have.
that yeah. And so it's like rules are in place for a reason, just like God gave us his word for a reason, right? And so we